Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and honoured guests. Welcome to our Higher Education Awards ceremony. My name is Rob Greening, and I am Director of Faculty at Nescot College. First of all, I'd just like to take you through a few housekeeping points. I'm sure many of you will want to use your mobile phones today to take photos of your loved ones as they come up on stage. But could I please kindly ask that you make sure that these are turned on to silent for the duration of today's ceremony. There are no test fire alarms planned for today, so if the bell does ring, please follow instructions from the racecourse staff and make your way to the exits. Many of you will want to clap, cheer and applaud as your loved one comes up onto the stage. Please feel free to do so. It is, after all, your day and their day to celebrate. For graduates, I'm going to give you a little direction, please. You'll be called up in order by my colleague on the right, and when I call your name, please come up onto the stage, taking care on the step. You'll then shake hands with the awarding officer, and the gentleman to the right will be taking your photograph. So please remember to smile. And then take care as you go off the stage. To open the proceedings, may I introduce Francis Rutter, Principal of Nescot College. Francis.
Thank you, Rob. Honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Nescot's 2018 Higher Education Awards ceremony. I'm thrilled to see so many of you here today. We're full. We've almost 150 people receiving awards today, and nearly 300 family members and friends attending. I'm really glad that so many of you have been able to come, and I really do hope that you enjoy today's ceremony. I'd also like to echo Rob's welcome to the guests we've got joining us up on stage today. And they will help me to confer our awards, certificates, degrees and prizes. You'll have read a little bit about our guest in your programme today, and I suspect that you, like me, felt somewhat in awe of what these people have accomplished in their private and professional lives. For example, our guest of honour is Professor Julius Weinberg. Julius is chair of Ofsted. He probably feels right at home at an event like this because he's already graduated 4 times. He holds 2 undergraduate degrees and is currently working towards his 3rd master's degree in psychology. His career testifies to the power of education and where it can get you. Graduands, today is a day for reflecting, for taking stock of what you've achieved academically, professionally and personally, and for thinking about your future, for being inspired by others, for being ambitious for yourselves, and perhaps for letting yourselves dream a little. I'd like to tell you about a student of ours called Shane Carpenter. Shane is an apprentice at Nescot with BAE Systems, and today Shane's getting his HND in Computing and Systems Development. He's also very kindly agreed to give the student vote of thanks as we close the ceremony today. Shane knows that I'm going to say a little bit about him, so I hope I can do so without embarrassing him too much. Where are you, Shane? There we are in the front. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Shane because I find his story so inspirational. I really hope that you will too. So Shane joined Nescot at the tender age of 16. He finished his level 3 BTEC in computing with a triple distinction, starred profile, which is the best possible mark. He also chose to take extra BTEC units, finishing with 21 units instead of 18. And if that wasn't enough, he took 6 specialist courses called vendor qualifications. Shane applied to university, and he was offered a place at King's College London to read computer science, and he was even offered a scholarship. Shane would have been the first person in his family to go to university. That in itself is a huge achievement. Shane considered his options very carefully, and he decided that an apprenticeship suited him better. He's working for BAE Systems, as I mentioned earlier, earning a very good wage and getting his qualifications at the same time. Alongside his studies, Shane's been involved in something called World Skills. So World Skills is a competition that celebrates practical skills in an enormous variety of different subject areas and disciplines, from floristry to forensic science. Every year there's a series of regional competitions, and they culminate in a national final. And every other year there's an international event. Shane competed first in World Skills in 2013. His academic success shows how gifted he is and how committed he is. Every student who takes part in World Skills competitions invests a huge amount of time into it. They give up evenings, weekends, holidays to take part. And so do their tutors. In this case, Suresh, who is also here today supporting his students. Can we give a little clap for Suresh? But here's what I find even more impressive. First of all, Shane reached behind him to help every other student he could to go on and succeed. He took what he'd learnt technically, and he helped Suresh to teach that every other student who hoped to take part in World Skills too. He also helped those students to prepare mentally for the competition. And that's a really intense environment, and you need those skills. He helped them to hone what we call soft skills, like self-confidence, planning your time, reading the instructions carefully, answering the question. That helped them in the competition, but it's also helped them at college and at work too. No one made Shane do that. He did it because he wanted to help those other students to reach their goals, because he cared and because he wanted other people to have the opportunities that he's had. The second thing is that Shane didn't actually succeed the first time around. You won't mind me telling you this, but you don't do, Shane, no. But 2013 was his first year of being involved in the World Skills. He won his category in the regional competition and he got through to the national finals. He did well, but not well enough to get a medal, and was crushed. And that could have really knocked him down, and he could have walked away from the competition, and like lots of other people would have done, anyway, he'd still have won the regional competition. Instead, Shane turned his disappointment on his head, and he used it as an inspiration. He decided that he would win the medal, not at a national competition either, but at the international competition. He decided that he'd become one of the best in the UK, and then he'd be in the national squad, and then he'd go on to compete against the best from countries all over the world. That was a big goal, and he knew it would take a phenomenal amount of hard work to achieve. He set himself that goal in 2013, and in November last year, I saw him do just that. I saw Shane win a Medal of Excellence in Abu Dhabi at the International World Skills Finals. That, for me, is what education is all about. If you think back for a second to the person that you were when you started your course at Nescot, just have a think about how you were then and what you've learned. No doubt you've learned an incredible amount about your particular subject, but what have you learned as a person, and what opportunities have you created for yourself? You'll have learned a lot of those soft skills that I talked about earlier, like time management and working as a team. You'll also have learned about ambition, about achievement, about creating a goal and having a dream, and achieving it even though it was hard, and even though you sometimes thought you couldn't do it or that you wanted to give it up. Mark Zuckerberg is the founder and CEO of a company you might possibly have heard of, Facebook. Last year, he gave the commencement speech at Harvard, the university he famously dropped out of to focus on Facebook. He spoke during his commencement speech about the night he launched Facebook from his dorm. He said, "I remember telling my friend I was excited to connect the Harvard community, but that one day someone would connect the whole world. The thing is, it never even occurred to me that that someone might be me." That really struck a chord with me, partly because it's something I've heard our students say. They have a dream, but they think they won't reach it, so they scale it down. They think, that won't happen to someone like me, and then they lower their ambition. Maybe that something is representing your country at an international competition. Maybe it's setting up Facebook. But here's the thing. Everyone who's achieved something big has had those same thoughts, that it wouldn't happen to someone like them, that they couldn't do it. The only difference is for them is that they didn't let it limit them. So take a minute today as you queue up across the stage to shake our hands. Take a minute after this ceremony as you celebrate with your classmates and your tutors and your families. Take a minute this weekend. Think about everything you've achieved through gaining your qualification. Then think about what's next for you. Dare to dream, and dream big. Be ambitious, be audacious. Let yourself dream that that someone might be you, and then plan how you're going to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis. Honoured guests, presiding officers, principal, ladies and gentlemen, whilst the graduates and diplomats get ready to take receipt of their awards, I will explain the order of proceedings. Our guest of honour, Professor Weinberg, will confer Pearson Awards and awards on behalf of professional bodies. Dr. Gordon Adeojo will confer awards and degrees from University of Greenwich. Dr. David McIntosh will confer awards and degrees from Kingston University. Sir David Varney will then confer awards and degrees from the University of Surrey. And finally, Professor Weinberg will present prizes and cups in recognition of outstanding performance by our students. I would now like to invite Julius Weinberg to confer Pearson and Professional Body Awards. The Principal of Nescot will also congratulate the graduates as they cross the stage. I present to you the following from the Department of Business and Accounting for conferring of Association of Accounting Technician Awards. AAT Diploma in Accounting. Jennifer Banks. Erica Bruderin. Paul Cruz. Catherine Dance. Brittany Draper. Christopher Garland. Amanda Gonzalez. Josephine Jaquays. Charlene Martin. Susan Malloy. and Grace Obley. Shane Carpenter. Simon Hall. Zachariah Line. Christopher Maunders. Sinki Ragokong. Jerome Sard. Jamie Sims. I present to you the following from the Department of Media and Gaming for conferring of Pearson Awards, HND Creative Media Production. Kenny Colliver. Liam Cowden. Matthew Davies. Well done, Matthew. Rachel Langford. Harley Swain. Benjamin Wakely. Leanne Walker. I present to you the following from the Department of Performing Arts for conferring of Pearson Awards. HND Performing Arts. Joseph Honey. Sophie Kelly. Rebecca Wingate. I present to you the following from the Department of Science for conferring of Chartered Institute of Environmental Health Certificates. Higher Certificate in Food Premises Inspection. Aditun Babatunde. Olureme Falola. Nicola Gardner. Dazil Lugo Perez. Kihendi Akisanjo. Anne Louise Russell. And finally, Stephanie Shimmons. Thank you, Julius Weinberg. Gordon Adeojo, I now invite you to confer the awards of Greenwich University. I present to you the following from the University of Greenwich from the Department of Teacher Training. Certificate in Education, Christy Kemble. FDA Education Support, Daniela Adams. Sarah Bates. Leanne Butterfield. Jolie Gallagher. Coral Hooper. Katie Lewis. Louise Palmer. Hannah Sullivan. BA Hons Education Studies. Isabella Cesarek. Sumaya Salifu. Professional Graduate Certificate in Education. Azil Abed. Laura Fazzacekali. Michelle Higgins. Christopher Marshall. Amy Richards. Juliet Sims. Thank you, Gordon Adeojo. David McIntosh, I now invite you to confer the Kingston University degrees. I present to you graduates from Kingston University from the Department of Computing and IT Skills. Computing BSc Honours. Matthew Rollison. Chameni Seneviratna. Nashid Thayala Puralil. Joanna Wild. Thomas Young. I present to you graduates from Kingston University from the Department of Early Years. Early Years FDA. Laura McCormick. Chloe McGrath. Catherine McInnes. Sorka Rees. Claire Reardon. Natasha Samuel. Hannah Secret. Abigail Smith. Nusrat Saudi. Emma Stockwell. And Samantha Sweetland. I present to you graduates from the partnership between Nescot and ICOM, International College of Osteopathic Medicine in Italy. And I would like to invite Professor Alfonso Mandara, President of ICOM, to join us to congratulate the students. Osteopathy, BSc Hons. Andrea Brughi. Fabio Comi. Luigi Da Pece. Matteo Faleo. Ricardo Merengue. Giovanna Mariani. Monica Minotti. Matteo Perano. Matteo Prandi. Martina Riga. Michaela Santos. Jacopo Silvestri. Simone Tournay. I now present to you Osteopathic Medicine, M. Ost. Marco Antonetto. Matteo Bonarodu. Giulia Bonetto. Giovanni Bruna. Ariana Carnearnu. Francesca Carlavaro. Bruna Chiavuzzi. Alessandro Corsini. Pietro Dana. Laura Di Zimino. Federica Del Ulo. Marcello Gambadoro. Primo Gobi. Alicia Yanibelli. Madeline Kibble. Fabiana Merlo. Francesca Pesanano. I now present graduates from Osteopathy MSc. Nicole Alari. Valeria Galani. Jessica Munari. Embra Perano. Lorenza Piccoli. Ariana Pirovano. Martina Sala. Alessandra Sigismondi. Marta Simeone. Claudi Tomasini. Jure Tushek. And Luca Zirilli. Thank you, Professor Mandara. I present to you graduates from Kingston University from the Department of Science, Applied Biology and Healthcare Science Foundation Year. Monere Zamani. Perfusion Science MSc, Ben Littlejohns. Jack Satchwell. I present to you graduates from the Department of Sport, Sports Therapy, FDSC. Umut Kasif. Sports Therapy, BSc Hons. Jennifer Ireland. Matthew Naylor. And Sam Sparks. Thank you, David McIntosh. Sir David Varney, I now invite you to confirm the University of Surrey degrees. Presiding Officer, I present to you graduates from the University of Surrey, from the Surrey Institute of Osteopathic Medicine. BSc Osteopathic Medicine. Suzanne Yu. Integrated Masters Osteopathic Medicine. Alicia Addo. Janet Etherington. Leah Hammond. Nicholas Johnson. Nicholas Jordan. Paige Kern. Benjamin Lehman. Pavlos Pavladis. Aidan Smith. Thanasis Stavru. And Lana Weir. I present to you graduates from the University of Surrey from the Department of Science. BSc Hons Applied Biological Science. Paul Das. BSc Hons Applied Biomedical Science, James Burton. MSc Perfusion Science, Richard Ajikumsachi. Matthew Austin. Christopher Bishop. And Catherine Chapman. Thank you, Presiding Officer, presenting the awards and for attending the ceremony. We very much appreciate you joining us today to celebrate our students' achievement. I would now like to invite our guest of honour, Julius Weinberg, to confer our final honours of the afternoon, the cups and prizes. Julius Weinberg, please confer the following prizes. BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT Prize for Computing BSc Honours, Joanna Wild. The Olatunde Idowu Memorial Prize for HND Computing and Systems Development, Shane Carpenter. The Principal's Prize for Professional Graduate Certificate in Education, Juliet Sims. The Richard Marianne Prize for Osteopathic Medicine, MOST, Prima Gobi. The Dr. Johns Osborne Memorial Cup and Prize for Perfusion Science MSc, Ben Littlejohns. The Rotary Club of Epsom, Raj Amodia Trophy and Prize for AAT Diploma in Accounting, Brittany Draper. And the final prize of today, the Rotary Club of Ewell Cup and Prize for HND Performing Arts, Sophie Kelly. Thank you, Julius, and many congratulations from all the Nescot staff to the awardees and prize winners on their achievement. I would now like to ask Julius Weinberg to address the congregation.
It's rather dry sitting there, so I need some water before I start. Well, congratulations, everyone. It's a great event, isn't it? And it's a wonder to be here. I'm very grateful to Mayor, Principal, the honoured guests, and of course you, the graduands, for this invitation. Though, as I sat there, I thought I had to rewrite my speech because the principal tried to upstage me. I'm sorry, I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. But I was actually at that graduation at Harvard, where Mark Zuckerberg gave the speech. And it was a horrible day. Torrential rain, freezing cold. Harvard does their graduations in the open air in Harvard Yard. Normally, there are about 5,000 people. There were probably 5 listening to Mark Zuckerberg, wrapped in blankets, huddling under umbrellas, while anybody sensible, including me, was watching on closed-circuit TV somewhere a long way away. So you may not have Mark Zuckerberg, but you are warm and dry and sitting safely. Graduand is a rather strange word, and actually, as you came in here, you were graduands. But as you crossed this stage and shook David or Gordon or Alfonso or my hand, you miraculously transformed into graduates. So congratulations again to all of you. Getting here has not been easy, and by that I don't mean the trains were terrible, it's cold out there, or you had to walk up the hill from Tattenham Corner. You've had to do some real work, some hard work. And I'm sure there were times when you wished you were doing something else, other than studying, and wondering if it was really all worthwhile. But then you'll have realised that actually staying up all night revising is really fun, and that currently you're looking back and wishing you could still be doing that. The PowerPoint questions on my talk will be coming up later, so make sure you're listening carefully. But none of you got here on your own. None of you got here without support from parents, from partners, from friends, from children, from others around you. And my guess is that many of those are here in this room, and they probably think that they ought to be the ones in the gowns crossing this stage, and that they did the all-nighters, they made the coffee, and possibly sometimes they might even have helped you with some of the coursework and punctuation. I think that you, our wonderful graduates, have had enough applause, so I would like you all now to stand. A bit of exercise, we won't sit too long. Stand and turn and see if you can see your family and give them a huge cheer and a thank you for what they have done. Okay, there's only another 45 minutes of the lecture to go, so what have you been up to? This thing called education. Well, next time you open a newspaper or a magazine, though you won't do that, will you? Or look at a website or check Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook, and it tells you about a magic cure. Because frankly, every time you look at the newspaper, there's something about a magic cure that does everything, isn't it? Well, tell yourself that you actually know what that magic cure is, and you've already got it. Because there's extensive evidence, I'm a scientist by background, so evidence is what I'm interested in, that there is one thing that can help you live longer, reduces your chance of getting cancer, makes it less likely that you'll suffer from depression, less likely to get dementia, more likely to have healthy, long-living children. Yes, there's a magic cure, and it's called education. Education does all of those things. The higher the level of your education, the more likely you are to find a highly educated, successful partner. So look carefully around you at the moment. And indeed, there is some evidence that your level of education is correlated with your height. That didn't work for me. But education is a wonderful thing. It's what powered the Enlightenment. It's what powers the societies that we live in now. And it's right that we celebrate it. Now, the last time I was at a similar event to this, people in gowns, people in hats, reflecting their history, and we dress like this because of the solemnity of the occasion. We want to mark that we think it's important. People celebrating their educational achievement. It was actually just before Christmas at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte, in the US. It was held in a basketball stadium with around 2,000 students and their families, so about 5,000 people. It was loud and noisy, but it wasn't a graduation. It was a commencement. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Just as an aside here, as a British academic and a public servant, I actually get extra bonus pay every time I can get a quote from either Churchill or Shakespeare into a conversation or a talk. So beware for those as they come up. But Churchill did describe the US and the UK as two nations divided by a common language. Commencement, graduation. Are they the same? Are they different? We have pavements, they have sidewalks. We wear trousers, they wear pants. Well, we wear pants as well, but they're slightly different. We use rubbers to get rid of mistakes. They use rubbers to prevent mistakes. That's the edgy one. For those of you that don't understand, talk to your neighbours. So isn't it interesting what we describe as graduation, they talk about as commencement? Is this the end of something, or is it the beginning? Interesting cultural difference there. Are you finishing, or are you starting, looking forward to the rest of your life with plans, hope, and expectations? And as we do graduation, what we do is we celebrate your success. We want to be successful. We want to be honoured and respected. We want to think of all those minor successes and great successes that you have recently had, building up into a great big success of the future. However, success means different things to different people, doesn't it? It might be getting pleasure from supporting others. It might be having a happy family life. It might be making enormous amounts of money, like somebody who gave a graduation speech once at Harvard. It might be creating work for others, and perhaps even it might be sitting on stage in fancy dress. So there's no single measure of success or single way of getting there. So when you see someone or talk to someone about success, or you want to find out how you can be successful, if you think about modelling yourself on others, be careful, because what's right for them might very well not be right for you. What they think of success might not be your way of success, and how they got there may not be the way that you can. However, I'm a bit contrary at times, and I think there's something much more interesting and useful to ask people about if you really want to learn. That's not their successes, but their failures. So let's think about failure. Actually, think about all these people here as a bunch of failures, because that is what they are. Every one of us here, who you're thinking, well, they're up there because they've achieved something, every one of us here has had moments when things have gone wrong. Everyone is here, this end of the hall. We didn't get the job we wanted. We failed an exam. We fell out with our boss and had to leave. We gave up on a favoured experiment. The funding didn't come through. The person we thought we wanted to spend the rest of our life with found someone taller. They did not end up on this platform because they sat on an escalator of success. Actually, they ended up on this platform because of how they dealt with and coped with those failures. Churchill said, I'm doing well here, aren't I? Churchill said, success was the ability to go from failure to failure without giving up enthusiasm. And I think there's a lot in that, and he knew he had many failures. Probably the worst ever peacetime cabinet minister and one of the worst ever peacetime prime ministers. That's debatable, but he did not have unalloyed success in his life. Thomas Edison, the great American inventor of the light bulb and the phonograph, or record player as we call it, said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Great science, actually, is built on failure. A good theory is not one that you prove right, it's one that you prove wrong. And good theory is designed to be testable and provable wrong. However often you show something is right, it does not make it truth. The turkey has lots of evidence that farmers are great people. 364 days out of 365, they provide food and warmth. So you only need to prove a theory wrong once to know that you have to rethink and make things better. So failures are essential, perhaps not for the turkey, but certainly for the scientist. And I'm not just talking about big heroic failures, which people then use to transform their lives, the light bulb moment, but actually those are failures with a happy purpose and outcome. I'm talking about banal, mediocre failures that we all have all the time in our lives, and it's about often how we deal with those that decides on our future lives, and we have to think about how we should celebrate them and learn from them. So I guess if I'm going to talk about the importance of failure, I should celebrate some of my own. Actually, we're quite good at forgetting our failures or reinterpreting them as successes, but I can think of a couple. When I was an undergraduate student, I can remember there was one pretty important exam where we had to get 20 out of 30 to continue on the medical course. I studied medicine originally. I got 19 and a half. Fortunately, halves were marked up. I took things a little bit more seriously after that. So it's not just successes and failures, but those near misses that matter. And if you're an engineer interested in preventing catastrophe, near misses are possibly the most important thing to look at. So when you have a near miss, don't just think, phew, but also think about what that tells you. I went into medicine at university really because I was passionate about going and working abroad, and I thought doctors can work anywhere in the world. You know, a British lawyer can't even work in Scotland, a barrister. Whereas as a doctor, it's a pretty generic skill which applies worldwide, and doctors are needed. So that's one of the reasons I did. I also thought the subject matter was fascinating. However, I got trapped into ideas of success, and I did conventional postgraduate training and became a specialist, and got to the stage where I was going to become a consultant in a London teaching hospital, where I suddenly thought, this is a mistake. This is not the success I seek. And at that point, I actually went off to Zimbabwe for a couple of years. So rather than jumping over the hurdle that was immediately in front of me, and unfortunately, we educate you to become very good hurdle jumpers. So we jump the hurdle, and then we see the next hurdle, and we jump that, and sometimes we don't really think about the long term. Now, the next job, the next published paper, the pay rise are all pretty strong carrots. But in the end, I rebelled and left my research post, and with my wife and my 3-year-old twins, we went off to work in Zimbabwe. In retrospect now, people say, it was clearly a brilliantly planned career move because things worked out. But at the time, people thought I was completely crackers. If I'd stayed in the UK, who knows, I might have had a great academic career and been invited to speak at graduation ceremonies. The counterfactuals are always difficult. As it was, I had an extraordinary experience working in a poor country at the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, completely rethinking what I was going to do. After a couple of years, we came back to the UK because of my wife's career and grandparents saying we had to be near at hand for their grandchildren. But because of that, I then moved into public health. I went from being a senior figure back to being a student. An apparent failure compared to my peers. Later, I moved into higher education, taking another right-angle career change because it sounded interesting, and I was looking for another challenge and change. So I think what I learned was to try not to fear others' labels of failure or merely to follow others' labels of success. And as I talked to the people I respect, who I consider as great failures, when I talk to them, I find that the most interesting ones, their stories and how they got there are always interesting. There have been right-angled turns. There have been moments they weren't expecting. There have been things that are very far from that steady escalator of success. Failures, turnings, surprises, and excitement. I wish in many ways that I'd had the courage to break away from the conventions of success a little bit sooner. But we shouldn't have regrets. We should just learn from those failures and think about our futures. So I particularly learned that you should follow your passions if you can, because life is really only worthwhile if what we do is heartfelt. Success is not as important as values, and if the values of those around you aren't the values you want, you should walk. Of course, sometimes we're constrained by things like mortgages and the need to earn money and eat. But try not to compromise too much because of ambition and others' ideas of success on your values and what you truly see as worthwhile. I couldn't work Mark Zuckerberg into my speech, but I did work Steve Jobs. It's clear that heads of American corporations spend their entire time going around universities giving commencement speaks. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, said in a commencement speech at Stanford just before he died that you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. And we create coherent narratives out of our past, and perhaps the successful people are merely those that create neat narratives out of their messy lives, and that others are not quite so good at that. The future is uncertain and unknowable, so we can only be successful, I think, by being prepared to be good at failing. I've taught on an MBA course in Moscow. These are great students. They're very clever. They're doing an MBA in a foreign language, and they come from some of the elite Russian schools, but they've been through a very, very didactic education. Sit down, be told, this is right, this is what you have to say in the exam. And they actually find UK-style, Western-style postgraduate education quite difficult. And I always start off by trying to talk to them about what master's learning means like and what learning means like in the West. And one of the things I do is ask them how I got to the campus, which is on the edge of Moscow. And they always say, well, you've got a driver, because they all have drivers. No. You get a taxi. No, I didn't do that. How did I get there? Actually, I used the Moscow Underground. But I don't speak Russian, and I cannot read Cyrillic. So how do I get there? How do I understand the map? They all say, oh, well, I must phone someone. Actually, you can't phone someone from one of the deepest underground systems in the world, and where phones don't work. So actually what I do is I explore. I get lost. I fail to find my way. I'm off the map. And learning is about being off the map. And good learning is about being off the map, but having the skills and the courage to know that it doesn't matter, that you will stumble your way back onto the map. But actually, I now know the Moscow Underground pretty well, because I've been around most of it, sometimes scratching my head thinking, does that Cyrillic word look like that one I'm meant to be finding? I'm now pretty confident on it. Every time I got lost, it was clearly not a success, but I know more because of those failures. If I'd just gone the right way first time, I would know one little bit of the Moscow Underground system, and that's all. So, you can't know your future or how to succeed. You can know what's important to you and those that you care about. You can know the right way to behave and treat people, and you can know how to fail. We're all pretty good at knowing how to fail, but what you can know is how to fail well. And think of failures as things that help you become the person you want to be. Because actually, people who are just successful all the time get up your nose, don't they? We know we want people to be vulnerable. We want people to be real people, and real people fail. So, in the spirit of commencement, rather than graduation, go out from here and be brave enough to make mistakes, dare to fail. That doesn't mean doing stupid things. There are some pretty silly failures you can do. It means failing and learning. The real failure is the one that you don't think about, which you don't learn from. Find places to work that are tolerant of error. Bosses that demand perfection are not going to develop you. There's no perfection. There's only stubborn unwillingness to think that you can do better or differently. So here's a quote from one of my favourite research papers. After several weeks of crawling or walking experience, toddlers avoided falling over cliffs, slopes, gaps, and bridges. The early learning students here must be wondering, what? You can imagine the researchers taking the toddlers out into the wilds and making them walk across treachery, icy slopes so they fall across ravines. I wonder if the ethics committee was on a good party the day they passed that one. In fact, the cliffs, ravines, and gaps were created in the soft play area. But what the study showed was the infants learn through falling, through failing. And once that they'd learned how to do something, they did something else and started falling all over again. Because without falling, they didn't learn. All of the guests here who supported you will think it was only a few weeks ago when you were learning through falling. Toddlers with grazed palms, and then there was that cruel day when they took the stabilizers off your bike, so you ended up with grazed knees as well, because you fell off the bike before you learned to ride it. So be proud of those failures. You learned to walk, you learned to ride bikes, you became great graduates because of the failures. Learn from them. As Albert Einstein said, anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Indeed, our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. That's the bingo moment. I've got Shakespeare in. So I can now draw to a close, having got having not failed by having got Churchill and Shakespeare in. So, indeed, this is a graduation. Look back on what you've achieved and be proud. Do celebrate success. Of course we should celebrate success. But it's also a commencement. Go forward and fail. Fail ambitiously, fail bravely, fail with care and passion. Fail and learn and enjoy the success that will bring you. I wholeheartedly congratulate you on your success and wish you well with your future failures. Thank you.
Thank you, Julius, for that uplifting and inspiring talk. I'd now like to invite another young man to come up and give a vote of thanks on behalf of the students who have graduated today. So I'd like to invite up Shane Carpenter.
Thank you, Rob, for the introduction. I'm honoured to be standing here today to give the vote of thanks speech at this special event celebrating our success. On behalf of all students graduating today, I would like to thank the Principal of Nescot, Francis Rutter, the Guest of Honour, Julius Weinberg, and conferring the awards for University of Greenwich, Dr. Gordon Adiojo, and for Kingston University, Dr. David McIntosh, and for University of Surrey, Sir David Varney, as well as everyone who had taken part to make this day a day to remember. Dwayne Johnson once said, "Success isn't always about greatness, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work gains success." Ladies and gentlemen, I can promise you that everyone here today has consistently worked hard to achieve success. Everyone in this room is extremely proud of themselves for graduating, proud of your child, proud of your sibling, or even your parents. It's an amazing achievement of what's happened today. I am grateful to have been a part of the first cohort of the BAE Systems apprenticeship, which involved doing the HNC and HND at Nescot, as well as allowing apprentices to gain experience in a workplace. We have experienced and learned a lot during our apprenticeship, not just about what was on our course, but about ourselves and each other. We have been on an amazing journey and are here today to celebrate our success. I speak on behalf of everyone on our apprenticeship and thank Nescot and BAE Systems as they allow apprentices from around the country to start their career in a growing area where engineers are constantly needed and are trained to become professionals in their areas. So I started Nescot as a shy 16-year-old boy, studying a BTEC Level 3 computing course with hardly any knowledge of computers, and if you had asked me back then, I would not have done this speech. I did really well in my course, and I was selected to compete for the World Skills Competition. I saw this as a great challenge, but did not realize it was going to change my life. It sounds cliche to say, but it has been a roller coaster of emotions to get to this point. I will never forget the first World Skills Competition. I reached the national finals with a score of 97.5 out of 100. However, in the nationals, I let the pressure just get to me over just making a cable, which was something I had practiced over and over and over again in training. Sorry. And I did not achieve what I wanted to achieve and what I believe I could have. As you can imagine, this was a very heartbreaking moment for me. I was in complete tears. My family was in tears too, and so was my tutor, as I had put so much hard work into the competition. However, this was not a failure. This was the beginning of a journey and the moment where I dreamt big. I came back from the nationals and said, I want to compete internationally. However, that was a big statement, but I had that goal, and we just set out a plan, and I made it there. Thanks to the computing department and BAE Systems, I had a network of support behind me, which really motivated me to work harder and smarter. Once selected for the UK squad, I endured a 2-year-long process of constant training where they slowly eliminated us until only one remained to represent the UK. Thanks to both parties, I had all the resources and time to train to become the sole representative for the UK, as well as complete the HND in computing. I went through team selection, and with many years of training behind me and failures and experience, I had made it as the representative for Team UK. Every sacrifice made along the way was worth it. Being able to represent the country in Abu Dhabi last year was the greatest experience of my life. I was shocked when I arrived at how big it really was. It was basically the Olympics, but just for skills instead of sports. We had an opening ceremony where each country parades around the stage. That was a proud moment, waving that flag against the rest of the world to say we are UK and we are here to show what we are made of. However, a personal highlight was riding a camel in the desert and visiting Ferrari World. But yeah, the flag moment was brilliant too. Thanks to the opportunities given by Nescot and BAE Systems, I was able to put into practice all my skills and showed the world what I was capable of. And Team UK also showed what amazing talent this country has to offer. It was the toughest 4 days of my life though. After each day, I went back to the hotel and prepped for the next. This was extremely hard to do, as I had been competing all day, my back was killing me, my eyes hurt from looking at the screen all day, and all I wanted to do was go in the rooftop bar and pull. But I couldn't because I had to persevere because I wanted that medal. At the end of it all, I won the Medallion of Excellence, meaning I was above the international standard, and I came 7th in the world out of 29 countries. I now look back at that first competition where I did not win a medal in the nationals. That was part of my journey. Not achieving anything didn't mean I was not good enough or I was not capable. I just needed to learn from that experience and use it to my advantage. Everyone has ups and downs. I'm sure most of you here have had many ups and downs throughout your time at Nescot. However, it's how you deal with them which defines how well you do. You are here today because you jumped over any hurdles in your journey to this point. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Now, I must give a massive thanks to everyone at Nescot who have seen me throughout the various stages of my journey. I also thank our principal and everyone else who has donated to help my parents get on a plane for the very first time to come and support me in Abu Dhabi. You have changed their lives as well as mine. It was an emotional moment when they were there to stand at the stand as I finished, but they made that moment even more special. I'll never forget that day. It was the final few seconds. Everything was aching, and when that final buzzer went off to signal the finish, I saw my parents, Suresh, my tutor, and all the Team UK support, and I just started tearing up. Thank you to my mum and dad, brother and girlfriend, for sticking by me through everything. All the weeks away and not spending a lot of time with you was truly worth it, and glad you supported me through the entire process. I must also thank all the others who supported me in the computing department throughout everything. And most importantly, I have to thank the one person who made everything possible, Suresh. You put so much into World Skills, you missed holidays, family occasions, and were constantly there to support and provide resources, even after your work time. Without your dedication and determination, I would not have made the progression I have made and represented the country. You truly inspired and motivated me to move forward and be the best I can be. You opened up a door of unlimited possibilities for me, and for that, I thank you. On behalf of everyone, I would like to thank all the tutors here today who have helped us learn and achieve success. Your hard work and dedication is incredible and has been a positive impact on us as we are here today. To me, Nescot has been my home for 5 years now. I don't think I'll ever leave because it's got me stuck here forever. I would not be where I am today if I had studied here and taken every opportunity given by the college. Everyone here today has their own personal stories. Everyone has worked hard and achieved so much. We made it here. We have graduated. As Dr. Seuss once said, you have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. Congratulations on your accomplishment today. I wish everyone the best for the future and continue to follow your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. I told you he was an inspiring young man, and I wasn't wrong. I'd now like to invite Francis Rutter, our principal, to close the formal proceedings. Francis.
So, thank you, Rob, and thank you, Shane. And thank you to all our guests on stage too. And Professor Weinberg, yes, I've made mistakes as well. And I clearly remember one of the former mayors of Epsom, and you'll, in forgiving me one, in telling me that anybody who's never made a mistake has never done a day's work. So I'm going to formally close the proceedings now, but before I do, I'd like to say thank you to a few people. The academic procession will then leave, followed by the graduates, and then we'll all have refreshments, including cake, in the Lamtara room next door. But just before we do earlier, I said that today was about getting people getting their awards and their certificates, and it absolutely is. But there are three other groups of people I'd like Cease to give a round of applause to. The first is your families. As Professor Weinberg mentioned earlier, they've all worked really hard with you on getting your qualifications, and I think it would be great if you could all just stand for a minute and give them a round of applause. The second group is your teachers. Again, they've given you a lot of help for you to get your qualification. And there isn't a teacher in the room who's not gone any extra mile for a student, who hasn't worked through their weekends and their holidays to give you extra feedback or extra support or extra encouragement to help you reach your goals. So again, just take a minute to give them a round of applause, please, and show the appreciation. finally, we need to thank the people who've made today possible. This is a mammoth event to put on, and it does take months and months and months of planning and organising to get it right. Peter Cargreaves has taken charge of arranging this event for a long time. In fact, it's her 10th today, and it's her final HE Awards ceremony before she retires in 6 days' time. So I'm sorry, Peter, I'm going to embarrass you. Let's have a final round of applause for Peter, please. And Peter, I know you didn't want to have a leaving do, so we thought we'd... So well done, folks. I declare the 2018 HE Awards ceremony closed.